Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Angie and this is my very first true crime video. My current channel consists of topics ranging from, gray hair and the gray hair transition journey, general hair care, makeup, skincare, that sort of thing. But I have always been interested in true crime, and so I thought I would definitely test this out. So today I am going to actually start with the Moscow, Idaho college students that were killed. And this video is going to be basically kind of an overview of it. I do really want to give a shout out to some of the other true crime YouTubers that have done an excellent job at covering this case. So please check out the Grizzly True Crime channel, and Gisela is the host there, and she has done an amazing job of really laying out and detailing a lot from the very, very beginning. So that would be a great place to get a lot of information if you are new to this case. Another channel that I really like is the 10 to Life, and the host Annie Elise has, I think she's got a couple videos on this, but she really does do a great job of also covering all of the cases that she does. So the 4 college students in this case were attending the University of Idaho in Moscow. And the 3 girls, Xana, Maddie, and Kaylee, all lived in a house together. That night, Ethan, Xana's boyfriend, just happened to be spending the night, and unfortunately, they were all murdered. Now, there are 2 other female roommates that also live in this house, but they were spared. It was also discovered that there was a 6th person on the lease, but that person had moved out, even before the school year began. So there was no involvement there with that person. So all of these students, the 6 students, were out that night, and that would be the night of November 12th into the early morning of November 13th. And they all ended up back at the house prior to about 2 o'clock in the morning. So between 3 and 4, that's when somebody entered the house. They're thinking they entered it through a sliding glass door that was on the 2nd floor. There was no sign of forced entry, and this perpetrator killed all 4 of these students with a knife. Now, this knife is a fixed blade knife, and that has not been found either. When the police arrived, the front door was open, but what's coming out now is also a neighbor had reported that they saw the door wide open at about, I think it was like between 8 and 9 a.m. in the morning. So the house is relatively large and very unique. The first level was the original house, and then they built onto it. So they built on the 2nd level as well as the 3rd. The girls that actually were spared were on the first floor. Then Ethan and Xana were on the 2nd floor, and then Maddie and Kaylee were on the 3rd. Kaylee, her family was very instrumental from the very beginning. Kaylee's sister was responsible for getting the video footage from the food truck that showed that Maddie and Kaylee were there that early morning at around 1:40-ish a.m. And she also collected the data from Kaylee's cell phone. prior to the food truck, Kaylee and Maddie were at a bar called the Corner Club. And they're saying that they were there like between 10 and then, you know, right before coming to the food truck. So let's say 1:30-ish or so. And then they have the footage of them at the food truck. And then from the food truck, they got a ride. They had called to get a ride then to their house. And because of all this footage, the sister was really able to tighten that timeline of when the girls actually got home. So they did get home at around 1:56 a.m. in the morning. Now, the timeline for Xana and Ethan is a lot less detailed. They did go to the Sigma Chi fraternity, and that is where, you know, the fraternity that Ethan belonged to. And they're said to have been there, you know, about 8 to 9. But then there's a lot of different conflicting reports as to where they were the rest of the night. But the police are saying that they were back home by 1:45 a.m. As for the surviving roommates, there's even less information. They just say that they were out and about that night, and they were both home by 1 o'clock that morning. So it was reported that later on that day, the 13th, the roommates actually called friends and had them come over to the residence because they were reporting there was somebody that was unconscious. And I think that might be maybe 911 dispatcher lingo or whatever. So I know that seems kind of strange, but the 911 call was made from one of the roommates' phones, but then it was kind of, I guess, passed around amongst the friends that were there to talk to the dispatcher. And that call was made at 11:58 in the morning. Once the police arrived, then they were the ones that ended up discovering all of the bodies. This case has a lot of moving parts, as you can imagine. And it really is inconceivable to think that somebody could come in to a house with six adults in a college town that is, you know, very, very populated. There's people always walking around. Their house actually had apartment buildings around them as well as other houses and stuff. But that somebody could come in and kill 4 people with a knife and go completely undetected. The coroner is reporting that they believe that all of the victims were asleep. She did mention, however, that there were, you know, some victims that did have defensive wounds. But again, I mean, they were vulnerable because they were sleeping. There's still so many questions, way more questions than answers. And this case is about a month old at this point. So please check out my next video where I discuss the handling of this case by the police, the town of Moscow, as well as the families of the victims. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If this is content that you're interested in, please subscribe. Please give me a thumbs up, and I hope you have a great day.